Well, for more on that California law that's threatening to upset a multi-billion-dollar business model, I'm joined by Patrick Rishe. He's the director of the Sports Business Program at Washington University in St. Louis, as well as the founder and CEO of Sportsimpacts. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Rachelle.
Now, we know that this debate about whether to pay college athletes has been around for decades. So was California's Fair Pay to Play Act just a matter of time?
It really was, and I think it's endgame for the NCAA as it relates to how they treat student athletes and their ability to cash in on their name, image, and likeness. All other students on campus have the ability to do this. And though California's law does not take effect until 2023, we have already seen that several other states have now instituted and are in the process of trying to put together their own bills, which may turn into law in a matter of the next year to 2 years. And that includes Florida, that wants to make this a law as early as next summer. So I think, Rachelle, this is going to put the NCAA in a very difficult position. They don't have the grounds from an antitrust perspective to fight this. I think they're going to have to acquiesce, and I think it would make them look proactive if they did so.
So then, in terms of the pros and cons, what does California's decision actually mean for the state's current and future college athletes when it does go into effect?
Well, right now, I mean, if they were out on the limb by themselves and they thought no other state was going to follow suit, it would actually, put California schools to some extent in a little bit of peril because many other schools would boycott. But that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is already we've seen other states that are following suit. And that's going to put the NCAA in a position where they understand that they cannot, put themselves in a situation where all the states can't have different rules. You have to have one set of rules. And this is pushing the NCAA into a corner that, quite frankly, Rachelle, they're not going to be able to get out of.
So then, can California's rule be implemented without any involvement from the NCAA?
It can be. The NCAA has claimed that they're going to fight it, but the California schools, they've put this into law. So this is something that absolutely can happen. But again, the benefit of the fact that the California rule would not go into effect until 2023. This gives everybody a time to take a breath and try to assess. The NCAA, speaking of assessment, they are at the end of this month going to have a committee that's co-chaired by the commissioner of the Big East Conference, Val Ackerman, and they're going to, as Ms. Ackerman puts it, provide a midterm report of where the committee is on recommendations regarding name, image, and likeness. Now, I commend this committee for doing that, but at the end of the day, it feels a little too late. They've had years to try to address this. The Ed O'Bannon case, the former UCLA star who fought the NCAA based on EA Sports and not getting anything from them when his image and likeness was being used. They just seem so slow to the party on so many things. And I think that this is the decision by California, the other states going forward with their legislation, that's going to push the NCAA to eventually make a rule that fits all schools.
Now, it's interesting. You mentioned EA Sports. So obviously, in terms of the financial opportunities that are available, how is all this being received by companies as well as these universities that really do profit from these student players?
Well, I'll take those one at a time. First of all, the universities, I've always been a proponent of going the name, image, likeness route because the money doesn't come out of the university's pocket. That's the beauty of this. And it's also gender balanced. So you could be a star volleyball player, you could be a star football player, you could be a star softball player. The monies might not be the same, but the point is all of the male and female athletes can benefit from a company reaching out and wanting to work with that student athlete. And I would think that the companies would be very interested in forming partnerships with the more visible athletes. Again, whether it's an extremely high-profile athlete from football or men's basketball, or any of the Olympic sport athletes, whether it's a women's or men's sport, they all have their niches. Rachelle, every sport, whether it's softball, volleyball, field hockey, they have equipment manufacturers, they have the balls that are used in the sport, and all of those companies would love to be able to assign their corporate name to the star athletes of that time.
And Patrick, just very quickly, we only have about 20 seconds. You mentioned about women who are also participating at the college level. How does this create better financial opportunities for them, especially given the unequal pay that we see in pro sports?
Well, it gives them an opportunity, just like it does for all the athletes, Rachelle, that if you're a star volleyball player, field hockey player, women's soccer player, you can now utilize and take advantage of your name, image, and likeness and make money from that likeness.
All right, thank you so much. Good to have you. Patrick Rishe there, Director of the Sports Business Program at Washington University in St. Louis, founder and CEO of Sportsimpacts and sports business contributor at Forbes.com.